Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Bhagavad Paramahamsa Charja Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Purudikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay, we'll be studying page 442. 442. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 26th day of February 2020 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 10, entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, text number 20, page 442. Page 442. Okay. Ahamatma Gutakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha Ahamadishta Madhyamcha Bhutanamanta evacha. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha Ahamadishta Madhyamcha Bhutanamanta evacha. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha Ahamadishta Madhyamcha Bhutanam Anta Evacha. Mukunda. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha Ahamadishta Madhyamcha Bhutanam Anta Evacha. Marcy. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashaya stitaha. Ahamadishcha madhyam cha. Bhutanam anta eva cha. Ahamatma gudakesha. Sarvabhutashaya stitaha. Ahamadishcha madhyam cha. What happened? Bhutanam atma eva cha. Jessica, you want to try? Ahamatma gudakesha. Sarvabhutashaya stitaha. Madhyam cha. Ahamadishta madhyam cha. Bhutanam anta eva cha. Go ahead, Prakash. Ahamatma gudakesha. Sarvabhutashaya stitaha. Ahamadishta madhyam cha. Bhutanam anta eva cha. Okay, I'll read through the synonyms. Aham, I, Atma, the soul. Gudakesha, O Arjun. Sarva Bhuta, of all living entities. Ashaya stitaha, situated within the heart. Aham, I am. Adihi, the origin. Cha, also. Madhyam, middle. Cha, also. Bhutanam, of all living entities. Anta, end. Eva, certainly. Cha, and. Krishna says to Arjun, I am the super soul, O Arjun, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Purport. In this verse, Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesha, which means one who has conquered the darkness of sleep. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, it is not possible to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in various ways in the material and spiritual worlds. Thus, this address by Krishna to Arjuna is significant. Because Arjuna is above such darkness, the personality of Godhead agrees to describe his various opulences. Krishna first informs Arjuna that he, Krishna, is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestation by dint of his primary expansion. Before the material creation, the Supreme Lord, by his plenary expansion, accepts the Purusha incarnation, and from him everything begins. The Purusha incarnation is right there in the corner, Mahavishnu. The total material energy, therefore he is Atma, the soul of the Mahatattva, the universal elements. The total material energy is not the cause of the creation. Actually, the Mahavishnu enters into the Mahatattva, the total material energy. He is the soul. When Mahavishnu enters into the manifested universes, he again manifests himself as the supersoul in each and every entity. We have experienced that the personal body of the living entity exists due to the presence of the spiritual spark. Without the existence of the spiritual spark, the body cannot develop. Similarly, the material manifestation cannot develop unless the Supreme Soul, Krishna, enters. As stated in the Subal Upanishad, Prakrityadi sarva bhutantar yami sarve sheshi chanarayanaha. Yeah, that hyphen shouldn't be there. Bhutantaryami, antaryami. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is existing as the Super Soul in all manifested universes. The three Purusha avatars are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. They are also described in the Narada Pancharatra, one of the Sattvata Tantras. Vishnu's tu trini rupani purushakyan yato viduhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests three features as Karanodakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakashaya Vishnu in this material manifestation. The Mahavishnu or Karanodakashaya Vishnu is described in the Brahma Samhita 547. Yakarnan avajale bhatatisma yoga nidram. The Supreme Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes, lies down in the cosmic ocean as Mahavishnu. Thereafter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the beginning of this universe, the maintainer of the universal manifestations, and the end of all energy. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, But my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, a lot of information there. And all of it is beyond our ability to know by our material mind and senses. This is one thing that you soon discover when you enter into Krishna consciousness. You start reading these books. There's a whole lot in there that you're not going to be able to confirm by investigation, by your own investigation. So this chapter, just to review, is really important, as I mentioned in other classes, recent classes, that the verses 8 to 10 contain the essential 4 verses of the Bhagavad Gita. And this whole chapter is Krishna speaking about himself. And leading up to that 8th verse, he's describing how he's the origin of everything, the origin of all the demigods, and therefore they can't know him completely. When something is produced by something else, then the thing that's produced is derivative. And the producer, especially as someone as powerful as Krishna, can reserve the right to reveal only a certain percentage of his truth, his glories, according to the state of consciousness of the being. And that's what's reiterated again and again in our philosophy. That one may be tremendous intellect and very good at speculating and have all kinds of material knowledge, but you can't really get close to Krishna, who is known as Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja is a word that means transcendental Lord, and it's a very interesting word. It's made of 3 parts: Adha, Aksha, and Ja. These 3 different words or parts of words in Sanskrit. So Adha means down. In this case, pushing down. And Aksha means eyes, and it stands for all the senses and the mind. And Ja means Janma, born. So what is born of the eyes, or born of the material senses and mind, is material knowledge. So Akshaja is a compound word that means all the scientific knowledge that we can glean by investigating with our senses and our instruments that expand or amplify the senses. The big telescopes, the super microscopes, the computers, all of these have increased greatly the power of the senses to see. But still, it's material senses that you're relying on. The problem is that with all of these tools for investigation, we're deluded to think, now we're really getting to the truth. Now we know that last theory is false because we proved it with these new instruments. But now we're really going to get to the truth. So this is Maya's trick. By those means, you can never get to the actual essence of things. You can't find out the cause of all causes. Because the cause of all causes is Krishna, and he's beyond the range of all of these things. He reserves the right of not exposing himself. So how can we know him? First of all, we have to ask, why should we want to know? That's the first argument, And Prabhupada would spend, you listen to some of his lectures, of course, he's often speaking to new people, and even his devotees are basically new. They need basic elementary lessons again and again. So much he's describing the difference between the soul and the body, and he's describing the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita, that we're eternal, that again and again and again we've been around this birth, old age, disease, and death. I like to say them in kind of the order that they actually occur. Prabhupada would say birth, death, disease, and old age, because that's Janma, Mrityu, Jana, Vyadi. Birth, death, old age, and disease. But the way we experience them really is birth, which is so traumatic that Krishna mercifully allows us to forget all that agony. Right? The mother knows from her side how much agony it is. But so that's again that's horrible when you actually read about it. That was one of the most amazing things I remember when I first read in the 3rd canto. I was actually proofreading the 3rd canto, and we come to Kapila Dev's teachings. Anyone who's familiar with the Bhagavatam, that's a really amazing section. The movements of the living entities. He has a little section describing hellish punishments. He has a wonderful meditation on Krishna's form within the heart. It's not impersonal at all. It ends up, and finally you should meditate on the laughter of Vishnu. This is bhakti. It's all leading to bhakti. Nothing in Bhagavatam goes away from that. But then he describes the life of what's happening when children are born. The first stages of the embryo and everything. Where did that come from? That's 5,000 years old, and he's understanding that. That was really a revelation. And describing, what happens in there, and the waking up of the soul after, Prabhupada would always say 7 months, because he's working with lunar months. So you wonder, well, why does he say 10 months? After 10 months, the child is born. 10 lunar months equal 9 solar months, if you think about it. Anyway, so what happens is the soul wakes up, and there's brainwave activity. Can't really speak or communicate except kicking a little bit, But he's awake, and he's praying in there, and it describes the prayers. Basically, it's saying that I really blew it. I didn't I didn't go to Mangalartik, I didn't share my rounds. This time it's going to be okay. I promise. But actually, what's interesting is that this is a soul who may not have had any background in devotional service, but because of his situation, he has a vision of the Lord, or he's praying. But then he said, when he's born, if he's born into a family of non-devotees, then due to the trauma of birth, he forgets everything. That's a traumatic experience. And so he's starting from scratch, and he's trained in material life. So you're back, this is what happens generally. That's why birth in a devotee family is so valuable. Because from childhood, everyone knows, who studies teaching and learning, that what you learn in the first 5 years is so important for your whole life, So anyway, so birth, old age, disease, and death are going round and around and around. So any sane person would want to get out of that, would want to stop it. The samsara chakra, we're like being tortured by that. All of this other stuff, is really just Maya's trick to help us forget these agonies, which is the real reality. And then the next lifetime, what do all your struggles count for in this lifetime? You completely forgot about it. You're a different person. You may be a different species. And, you have to start over again. So this is our punishment for forgetting Krishna. But we have a chance now to change it, So we should want to do that. And that means we need to inquire. Who is God? What are his qualities? How can we think of him? Because basic philosophy, 8th chapter, Yang Bhavi Smarang Bhavam Chajajante Kalevanam, whatever you think of, what's the prominent thought at the time of death, that's going to determine your next life. And whatever you've done and thought about and desired, during your whole life, that's the determining factor, what that prominent thought is going to be. So that's basic Krishna conscious philosophy. You should try to train the mind so we're able to think of Krishna at every moment. Then we're home free. Doesn't matter if you die unexpectedly or you live 100 years. You're always thinking of Krishna. So that's why we should inquire. And then the question is where to inquire. And that's, Prabhupada gave us a genuine source of knowledge. That's just so eager to get these books published. The history, how eager he was to have the Bhagavad Gita published. It came out, the first Bhagavad Gita, most devotees don't know, came out in 1968. It was abridged. Prabhupada didn't want to abridge it, but we had no press. We had to try to sell the book to a publisher. And it was totally miraculous how Macmillan actually accepted it. Have you heard the story? Anyway, it's an amazing story. There's so many miracles from those early days. Moving the Prabhupada here and there, just coming to America when he did and where he did was like critical. If he landed in Oshkosh somewhere, where's he going to, But he decided to come to New York, and that was, anyway. So, he finally had the book, and there were classes given from that book, the first Gita, which is quite slim. It's about 300 pages. Blue Gita. He had some wonderful endorsements at the beginning. Famous people, Thomas Merton. He's a very famous, maybe not so much now, but in those days, Catholic author. And Denise Lebatov was famous. I think Allen Ginsberg got in there. Anyway, So, but that was a bridge. It didn't have all the purports. It had most of the purports were not able to be included. So he worked and worked and worked, and he's traveling all over the world. And when is the Gita coming out? This Gita. And finally, in 1972, it was published. And I'm not going to get into all, the problems that were with this Gita. There were so many mistakes, but it was genuine. By and large, it gave everything as it is. So here we are. We're studying now, and he's beginning to describe how we can know him. Good. By so many different things. He begins with the Atma. Now, the Atma is the soul, but it's also the super soul. Atma means different things. There's an incredible, twice actually, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya, he describes different meanings of this one very important verse. What is that verse, Atmarama verse. The Atmarama verse. Why is this Atmarama verse? First, here's, the Atmaramascha Muniyo, Niyagranta Apurukame, Kovancha Haitukim Bhaktim Ittambu Gano Hari. Now this is like a prime verse for combating the Mayavadis, which is always a battle, probably periodically here in this Bhagavad Gita. You'll see it's important because the Mayavadis are influential, and they've infiltrated a lot of mundane ideas also. So, what does this verse describe? This verse actually describes Shukadeva Goswami. Now, Shukadeva Goswami, as you probably know, was the speaker of the Bhagavatam to Maharaj Pariksit. He was the son of Vyasadeva, and he was as renounced as you could possibly be. He was so renounced that he didn't even want to take birth. And he stayed in the womb for, 12 years, I think? Huh? Maybe it was 16. When you get to 12, what's the difference? A few more years. He wouldn't come out because he didn't want to get entangled. So Krishna expanded himself, came all the way to Dwarka and convinced him in the womb, you can come out, you'll be detached, don't worry about it. So he takes birth, immediately takes sannyas. And he's leaving. Yeah, he was 16 at that. So he's leaving. He's totally naked. I don't know if he ever wore any clothes. And he's going off to the forest. It's described in graphic detail. And he's in Brahman realization. He's not a Mayavadi, but he's completely detached and he's merged in the bliss of Brahmananda. Okay, in person. So he's going to the forest, and he passes. He's a 16-year-old boy, totally naked. There's some ladies, girls bathing in the lake there, but they take one look at him and they see. He's not involved. He's not at all on this plane. They don't even bother covering themselves. He doesn't care. But his father, Vyasadeva, is running after him because he wants to speak the Bhagavatam to him. That was his whole idea. And they couldn't catch him. And as soon as they saw him, they covered themselves. They said, oh, he's a householder. This is Vyasadeva who wrote all of it. Anyway, so he goes out into the forest and he's wandering there. And Vyasadeva says, how am I going to get him back here so I can speak the Bhagavatam? So what he does, he sends out some of his disciples, because he's already, written, I guess, the Bhagavatam, and he has them chant various what I call nectar verses, to try to attract his mind, and he does it. Now, one of the verses was this one that I put into a poem. Barha pidam natavadapapu karnayo karnikaram. Now just imagine, because you probably don't know what all the meaning is, but if the meaning was just there, it's a tremendous meditation. Barha pidam natavadapapu karnayo karnikaram bibbir vasak kanaka kapisham by jayanting chamalam. Randran venor adadasudayapur deyan gopa vrindaranyam sopadamanam prabhishad Gita kirti. So it's a description of Krishna entering the forest with lovely peacock plume upon his head and fragrant flower placed upon each ear. He enters Braja's woods with graceful tread, a handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees, and from his luscious lips the nectar flows, and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day, with cowherd friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way, with fine impressions of his lotus feet. Now, he heard the Sanskrit, much more potent. He heard that one, and it's another one about the mercy, incomparable compassion and mercy of Krishna, describing his relationship with Putana. You wouldn't think. So it says, Aho bakiyam kalaka lakutam jigankshayapya yagadapya sadvi lebe gatim datu chitam katonyo kambadayadam shadanam vajema. This was spoken by Uddhava, but Vyasadeva had them chant this one. Aho means how wonderful. How wonderful is Krishna's mercy, because this Bhakya is the name for Putana. I think the younger sister, older sister of Aghasura and Bakasura. The whole family of demons. So this Putana, as you know, this was the first demon Krishna killed. He's this little baby lying on his back. And she was told to kill all the babies who were born, and this is like Herod, right? In the Bible. So she goes and her businesses, she's the worst. Of all the demons, she's the worst in my book. Her whole business is to kill little babies and suck their blood. Wow, pretty bad. So I won't tell the whole story, but she got in there because she disguised herself. These demons all have this yogic power, shape-changing, so she disguised herself as like the goddess of fortune. So she walked right in with Krishna, and Mother Yashoda said, oh, the goddess of fortune has come to see Krishna. They didn't stop her. Beauty is a great power, she knew that. So she goes in there, and she looks at Krishna and says, oh boy, he's pretty powerful. She could tell, but still she was on a mission. So anyway, Krishna closes his eyes, and she puts his teeth into his mouth, which is covered with horrible, fast-acting poison, So of course it has no effect on Krishna, and he hangs onto that breast, and he just sucks out her life with the milk. So she expands into her original form, 8 miles long, and she's smashing all the trees, and she's scaring everybody. So that's pretty horrible. And then they retrieve Krishna. He's just playing on them. Everything's big, big old breast, and he gets him down. Okay, so why is this verse so important? Because Krishna, although he killed her, he was so kind to her because he sucked the breast, that he gave her a position in the spiritual world as a nurse on the the right hand of Yashoda. In other words, she's on the motherly platform. She's completely purified by being killed by Krishna, and now she's got this Vatsalya Ras. Well, you know what Vatsalya? Vatsalya means just like a cow for the calf. In other words, so therefore, Uddhava says, who could be more merciful? Where am I going to go to find someone more compassionate? We may be forgiving, we may be tolerant and forgiving, but if someone tries to kill us, can we turn around and give him a great benediction? We'll try to probably not, right? Even the most. But Krishna is so kind, and so, So these verses attracted Sukadeva's mind, and he came back and he heard the Bhagavatam. And describing himself, or the verse describing him, is this Atmarama verse. So it's very important. So Atmaramas Chamuniyo. Now Atmarama means satisfied in the self. Krishna says he's the Atma. Not necessarily the super self, just in one's own self, on the spiritual platform. Completely detached from externals. Nirgranta, no knots. No ties to the material world, no attraction. This is a very exalted position, And it's not necessarily bhakti. This is way, by yoga you can do that. Although someone may be on this Atmarama platform completely pleased just in the self and having no attraction for the material world, still, Nirgranta urukame korvanta haitakim bhaktim will render pure, unmotivated devotional service to Krishna, being enthralled by his wonderful qualities, and which includes name, form, qualities, activities. In other words, Krishna is so attractive that he can attract anyone, even someone. The other corresponding entities are the 4 Kumaras. They were started out. They were the first sons of Brahma, and they were, they weren't Mayavadis. They were Brahmanandis, just like Shukadev. They preferred to just meditate on Brahmananda. They're full of knowledge, Jnana Shakti. So they went up they can go anywhere. They're so powerful. So they went up to Vaikuntha. And there's all these gates. They come to the 7th gate of heaven. And they can't get in. Jai and Vijay stop them because they're not real bhaktas. They're Brahmanandis. And so they prove it by getting angry. They're furious. You didn't let us in. So they cursed them to fall from Vaikuntha. And so then there's like a commotion at the gate. So Vishnu comes, right? And he comes, on his lotus feet and everything. And before he even gets there, the breeze carries the fragrance of his lotus feet into the nostrils of these Shlokumaras. And it's a verse, I forget the Sanskrit. Tasyada binda nayanasya, that's something. And they turn. They become bhaktas just by smelling that fragrance, you see. And then they're so sorry about Jai and Vijay, they're condemning themselves. And Vishnu says, don't worry, it was my plan. Because those Jai and Vijay turn into 3 sets of demons, who then Krishna goes to the material world. The first set, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Jai and Vijay had the option of coming back after 7 births, or after three births in demon family. They took the second option because it would be faster. Maybe they didn't know what they were going to get into. So these great devotees, Jai and Vijay, they're servants. They're going, Hiranyakashipu, and they get killed by Krishna. You know the story, Nrsimhadev and Varaha. Then the next set is Ravana and Kumbhakarna, his brother. But big demons, again, killed by Vishnu in the form of Ram. And finally, Dantavakra and Shishupal, whom Krishna personally kills, beheads. The other one he killed with a club, I think, Dantavakra did. So, and then they go back. But again, you have these Atmaramas who are attracted to Krishna when, in this case, the fragrance of the lotus feet or any qualities. So, this was, the word Atma. So it's going to take a while to go through this chapter. We're going to go over each for it now. Gurudakesha, the conqueror's sleep. You imagine how useful that would be if you could get on with little or no sleep without debilitating yourself. That's Arjun. Sarvabhuta Shayastata, I am in the heart of every living being. So he's obviously talking about the super soul. Atma is also the super soul. I'm the beginning, middle, and end of everyone. So the idea is that Krishna is always in the background, with all of these vicissitudes, all these changes that take place in our personal body and the world and everything is going on. And he's just there. He's sustaining everything in every atom. He's within every heart, giving us so much intelligence. So our aspiration in human life should be to try to know him as best as possible and to reawaken our relationship. Because if we can really awaken that love, even a little bit, that affection for Krishna, that attraction to Krishna, that's the most auspicious thing that can ever happen in any of our lives. Because Krishna responds to that. And he's in our heart. So he purifies more and more, and he's attracted by our attraction to him. So I was just reading, by the way, these books are such treasures. I hadn't read in some time The Nectar of Devotion. There's chapters there that deal with the friendship ras and the parental ras, and they describe different aspects of that. And it's just so amazing how Krishna, we read about some of that in the Krishna book, but in the Nectar of Devotion, there are more details. How does Krishna, respond in the Vatsalya when he's in these different ages in Vrindavan? The different relationships are more accentuated. Like when he's a little baby, and he's learning to talk and walk, and the teeth are coming out. He mimics the human. And of course, everything he does is the supreme. What would you say? What do you call it when the kids just speak and they can't really utter something very good? Gibberish, not gibberish. I don't know, but this charming little speech. They don't know the words. They can hardly speak. And of course, the parents and those who are on the level of parents are completely taken by that. So this is described in the Nectar of Devotion. If you can't afford the book, you can get look at it online. But just take the time. It's called chapter 42 and 43. There's a lot of chapters in that book. But this, why, and the original Sanskrit, some of it is quoted. You can see it. I with the Bhakti Samhita Sindhu. There's one verse there that I happen to know. I'm reading the Nectar of Devotion. Oh, this is the verse I know. And it's if you visit India, you go into any Indian homes of Vaishnavas, you'll probably find this murti of Krishna in probably 200 million homes in India. He's a little baby, and he's crawling on all fours. One arm is here, right? He's got a little butterball there, and he's looking up like this, right? Isn't that, you probably had one growing up, right? That's what this verse is about. So it's describing Mother Yashoda's seeing him. He's crawling toward her. So just listen to the Sanskrit. This is the sound. Kvanata kanaka kinkani kalapam. Spitamukamudranasika grumuktam. Kadatatanamani tapinnamagre tanayamaveshananandananda patni. Now you can see how the fashioning of the sound, this is Rupa Goswami writing this, matches the subject matter, So what is this? Kvanita kanaka kinkani kalapam. Every word counts. So kvanita means tinkling very sweetly. Doesn't have much clothes on. He's got some waist bells, golden waist bells. He's got a pearl affixed to his, the middle of his nose, and that's basically it. So, so kvanata kanaka kinkani kalapam. So this series of bells golden bells on his waist are tinkling very sweetly as he's crawling toward his mother. Okay, now smita mukam. His smiling face. He's smiling. Now, when little babies smile, you have to be a heart of stone not to be affected by it. This is Krishna. Mother's, milk is pouring out. So, smita mukam ujjvala nasika grumuktam. An effulgent pearl is affixed to his, beautiful nose. And what has he got? Katadrita in his hand. He's holding this fresh butterball, right? I guess he's offering it to his mother. Katadrita navanitam. Now, why is butter called Nita? I wrote to Gopi Puranadana years ago about this. Because there's another verse, Nitam Navadamanitam. So Krishna's complaining, who took my fresh butter? The word Nita means take, and it means butter. And this didn't make any sense to me. How does that work, Gopi? I wrote him an email. It's all very easy, because what is butter? It's what you take from the milk. When you churn the milk and you fry it into butter, see? So butter is drawn from the milk. So he's got the kadadita navanitam pindam, a little ball, a ball of fresh butter in his hand, right hand. Kadadita agre taniyam. So he's coming before his mother. Agre means in front of. Taniyam, her son, Aveksha sees Nananda Patni. It's such a clever use of words. Nanda Patni means the wife of Nanda Maharaj. Nananda means delighted. She's ecstatic to see him. So this vision of her little boy is making her ecstatic. So altogether now, you know the meaning of the words, now think of it. Kvanata kanaka, and kanaka is gold. Kvanata kanaka kinkani kalapam. Kinkani is the sound that these kinkani bells make. Kvanata kanaka kinkani kalapam. Smitamukam ujjvala nasika gramuktam. Kadadadavanita pinnamangre tanayamabeshananandananda patni. So we're going to all learn this verse gradually. You just keep coming back, we'll get it there. You can always call it on it, today, 10 years from now, as long as you live. So this is the kind of thing that attracted Sukadeva Goswami, and he's seated in the hearts of all living entities. So when Krishna, he senses, he understands exactly what we're thinking, what we're hearing. When he sees that we're hearing about him, from within the heart, he's purifying. Shinvatam sukata Krishna punya shavana kirtana karidyan tatsto yabhadrani vidunoti surit satam. He is surit satam. He's the best friend of all devotees, honest devotees, is satams, sincere devotees. So this word surit, I would probably analyze it. In English we have different words for friend. Oh, he's not really a friend of mine, he's just an acquaintance. Okay. And then there's a friend, and then there's a really good friend, a bosom buddy, and whatever. So the same thing in Sanskrit. You have bandhu, you have sakha, right? And you have mitra. These are all different levels of friends. And then you have surit. And surit is the most intimate friend. One who is always interested in your welfare, who is always trying to help you. Now where can you find a material friend like that? You may be a best friend who helps you out of tight spots, but always at every moment, they have their own life to lead. But Krishna is our best friend. He's in the heart. He says, Bhoktaram Yagitapasam, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, every living entity. So therefore, when he's in the heart, this verse says, when he hears that, he understands you're hearing about him and you're sincere, then he cleanses away all of the impurities in the heart. And what's the result? You become more and more attracted to him. You know, this is his real blessing. So obviously this is not going to happen for somebody who's just speculating or doing this yoga, that yoga, or what to speak of the materialists. When we actually connect to him through the sound vibration, hearing and chanting, that's the most powerful, it's the foundation of everything. Then he purifies the heart. And we can experience it. You get a little chanting a little bit, you know, you're a little bit serious, you come before the deity, oh, the deity looks different. He's smiling more broadly, you know, you're more attracted to everything having to do to Krishna. Okay, I kind of went on and on. Any questions about this verse and purport? Prabhupada talks a lot of, yes, Prabhupada.
Is Harekrishna only used for Arjuna, or is it used for other people also?
I've never seen it used for anyone else, but it definitely, you know, it could be, you know. I mean, you know, and six Goswamis were pretty much Gudakesh, you know.
And the other one is, you mentioned how when before Kumaras they got mad and they cursed Dravida, and Krishna says that, well, it was okay with my plan, so that they can, you know, take this.
Yeah.
But in the passages of other devotees, like, well, like Parikshit, then it was, you know, Parikshit got angry and he cursed. And
Yes.
that's the pastime, but it was understood that his nature wasn't really like that. It was totally exceptional, not at all his nature.
Yes, that's right there in the book, yeah.
But with the four Kumaras, was it totally Krishna, or was it also because they weren't bhaktis yet?
You know, I don't recall reading that in the text of the Bhagavatam in that passage. But what Vishnu is saying there is he emphasizes about that, and he said I would cut off my right arm. Now he has two of them, but for the Brahmins. In other words, he's sympathizing with them. So they insulted the Brahmins. And he assures them that that it's temporary. I mean that they'll be coming back. You know. But what's so amazing about it is how they completely changed. You know, their attitude toward Jai and Vijay when they really became devotees. You know, they were. I'm not going to insult the Kumaras, but they weren't really bhaktas yet. You know, and this was a way in which they become bhaktas. And at the same time, as Prabhupada explains in the book, what's Vishnu going to do? He wants to fight, and everybody in Vaikuntha is, the servant. So there's no enemies there to fight with. So who's he going to fight with? Some devotees that come down and disguise as enemies. You know, quite amazing. All right, we can do one more. Yes, Marcy.
I thought there were 2 trees that were part of that.
You talking about the Yamalarjan trees?
Yeah, the Krishna pulled down.
No, that's a different pastime.
Oh.
Yeah, that's with Narada Muni and Nalakuva and Manigriva, the sons of Kubera. That's a little different. But that was also a blessing curse. You know, you have these blessing curses where they start out as curses, but in the end they're real blessings. But they had to stand for like 30,000 years, and they could remember. And they, and then finally they were pulled down. But it was, that's a little different thing. All right, let's do one more. Adityanam aham Vishnu Jyotisham Ravarangshuman Marichi Marudhamasmi Nakshatranam aham Shashi. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon. Purport. There are 12 Adityas, of which Krishna is the principal. Among all the luminaries shining in the sky, the sun is the chief. And in the Brahma Samhita, the sun is accepted as the glowing eye of the Supreme Lord. There are 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of these winds, the controlling deity, Marichi, represents Krishna. Among the stars, the moon is the most prominent at night, and thus the moon represents Krishna. It appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun is one, and as by the reflection of the sun the moon illuminates, so also do the stars. Since Bhagavad Gita indicates herein that the moon is one of the stars, the twinkling stars are not suns, but are similar to the moon. Now there's a history behind this paragraph. The first editor could not abide this. He said, this is going to ruin the whole book, because no one will believe it. And so he took it out. He just X'd it out, unauthorizedly. Prabhupada didn't know. And it was restored by Jayawada Swami when he went. We have the original we have the original transcript of these tapes Prabhupada made, and it's right there. So this was restored. It's amazing, and there are more amazing things in Krishna consciousness. How that works, we're not quite sure. But one thing, this Adityas. Adityas are the sons of Aditi, and this is referring to Vamanadev. Vamanadev, what we call the dwarf incarnation. Somehow I cringe when I hear that word dwarf, because in American English, I think English is not quite the same, or Indian English. Dwarf means misshapen as well, right? Isn't it? You know, not so nice. But Vamanadev was known. He was known for his beauty, even though he was diminutive in stature. He was, but anyway, dwarf Brahman. So that's what that is. I'm the lights of the radiant sun and the roots. Now, one of the things is nakshatranam. You know, can mean just luminaries in the sky. You know, but it can also mean stars. Prabhupada took it to mean stars. So that's what we have here. So the idea behind this is that, okay, I hear about Vamanadev, that's Vishnu, that's Krishna. And when I see the sun, that's Krishna. That's the most prominent source of light. The whole idea is that there's a group, and then and of that category, Krishna is the most prominent. That's the basic way in these things is organized. So the sun, I happened to be taking a walk just at sunset. Now, I don't know if I died from drowning last lifetime, but I am actually averse to the water. And since 1983, I've lived right on the beach. It's like a joke. It's a cosmic joke. Krishna put me on the beach, and I don't even go near the water just because swimming in the water. But I know that this sunset is very, famous here. So I happened to be walking, and there was this fabulous. I wasn't even walking on the beach. I was walking up Dawes. But when I came to the streets, whoa, look at that golden sky. I kept walking, Hare Krishna. So that's, we just think, whoa, that's really far out. No, that's Krishna. That's Krishna, little spark of Krishna's beauty being reflected there. That's how we can be Krishna conscious in our. That's what, the purpose of this whole chapter is, because no matter who you are in the Vedic culture, probably a good portion of these things are going to be well known to you. And so here's Rudra, Rudra's I am Lord Shiva, so you're identifying all these prominent elements to help us remember in our daily lives. That's the whole idea. Okay, we have 4 minutes. If we have no questions, we're going to resume on Monday with text 22. But we have time for a couple of more of my little ditties. Let's see. Here's one that is based on Rishabhde's famous verse, which Srila Prabhupada gave about 10 classes on. He was in India when the book came out, and wherever he went, he spoke on this verse. So here's a kind of a little summary of it. Don't waste this precious human life, dear friend, by working hard for hoggish happiness. Through bhakti yoga, worldly life transcend and learn to taste divine love's endless bliss. So that's what the two choices we have. Rooting around in this material world, trying to eke out some material happiness, which is always results in pain. And the fact is that material pleasures, are a certain degree, but the suffering is always much worse. If nothing else, it just brings you back for another round of birth and death. And so it's so petty and ridiculous. But by bhakti yoga, you can learn to taste divine happiness. So one more is, let's see. This one is always, here's one. It's a prayer to have Krishna's lotus face, or to have the lotus of Krishna's face forever growing in the lake of your heart. Smita duchi makadanda sandi bhaktarara vindam. Tavapada pada hangsan vishta gandham mukunda. Vidichata pasupari netra saranga rangam mamadidiyata dagi sangamangi korotu. From the lotus of your face, dear Lord, now you can visualize Giridhari. From the lotus of your face, dear Lord, trickles forth the luscious nectar of the beauty of your smile. Your exalted devotees, great swans, seek the fragrance of that lotus which does ere their hearts beguile. Your beloved gopis' eyes, mad bees, taste the most exquisite pleasure in that lotus of your face. O my dear Mukunda Dev, I pray, may the lake of my poor heart be by that lotus ever graced. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. If anyone wants any of this poetry, just write me an email. I have no website. Dravida108. You can guess the domain. Does anyone have any other domain besides Gmail?